Assembly visited the Independence Stadium to inspect activities at the ongoing International Trade Fair. Selu Kamara was there and he filed in this report.
After 2 busy weeks of training at Independence Stadium, the Minister of Trade, Dr. Asadu Ture, made a surprise visit for the trade fair. Accompanied by members of the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Minister saw for herself how the event was progressing and also heard from the traders.
What I have seen here is really impressive. I have seen the multiplier effect that the empathy initiative has brought in, GCCI's efforts in organizing it in such an orderly way, and also seeing that there is a lot of people, there are people around who have participated effectively, and most of the questions I raise, I try to find out how they feel, and it's quite positive. And it's also a learning point. I think we will learn from some of the issues that they raise, so in order to improve in next year.
Many traders appeal to the government to help them overcome their challenges they face in marketing their products after the trade fairs has ended. They recommended for the event to be organized twice in a year to boost business and give more entrepreneurs the opportunities to showcase their products.
I have been going with the technical people. I have been going and just been hearing what is being said. And the purpose of my going around to take time to talk to the people is to try to listen to them and know what their issues are. So each and every one of them have many times, and I believe if we can do it twice, why not? Because it also advertises the Gambia, it also opens opportunities for the Gambia, and those that were left out can also come a second time. So it's a good recommendation, and if you see them talking about that, it means they have gained a lot in this one, and I think I'm very proud of that.
The Director of Corporate Services, GCCI, Beatrice Mott, commended the Trade Minister for the visit.
For the first time, you've seen more youth participation than ever. And we have the youth pavilion, and they are youth supported by Empretech, and they are youth supported by NED. So we are ready at our level because we've seen that it is a matter for all. It's not just for the Ministry of Youth and Sport. It's for every Gambian to stand up and support our youth so that we curb the back way and all this menace that is taking innocent lives.
This year's trade fair is particularly important as it witnessed the participation of many young entrepreneurs marketing their products and creating job opportunities. Saidu Kamara, GRS News.
The National Council for Civic Education has sensitized communities in Lower Badibu on the rights and responsibilities of citizens in strengthening democracy. The exercise is part of the European Union's Access to Justice and Legal Education project. Janke Toure traveled with the team and she filed in this report.
The people of Lower Badibu district in the North Bank region are taking lessons on democracy to broaden their awareness of rights and responsibilities for a peaceful and progressive society that understands and respects the laws of the land. Personnel of the National Center for Civic Education and the Female Lawyers Association are providing the lessons through the EU-funded Access to Justice and Legal Education project.
This is a project that came as a result of a study that was conducted sometime in 2012, and the findings of the project, the research or the study revealed that many of the Gambian people, especially the rural community, lack knowledge on access to justice, and this is largely due to low literacy rate, inadequate information on the existing laws, and also poor dissemination of information.
Target groups for the 10-day campaign include the chiefs and alkalulu as local authorities who often preside over disputes at community level. Community radios, the police and other law enforcement officers are also targeted.
Goal of this project is to enhance awareness on access to justice through civic and legal education and promotion of information on the available justice mechanism in the country.
In Badibu, Kintakunda and Saba, the locals are receiving tips on what to do when confronted with cases like land problems, inheritance, civil cases and domestic violence. Personnel of the National Agency for Legal Aid, who are also part of the campaign, are providing the lessons. The governor of the area is pleased with the initiative.
there are certain things that are very, very common here. Land dispute, marriage problems, you know, inheritance, particularly inheritance in regards to women issues. All those things are very common here. But at the end of these 10 days, our prediction is that everybody will understand in our own way. All participants will understand, and we've told them to go and cascade, to go and make sure that their people, they disseminate this information that they happen to have with their people.
To help the people of Lower Badibu better understand democracy and which door to knock when confronted with problems of inheritance and divorce, the organizers of this program are using drama as a strategy. At the very center of this place is the famous Kitabu.
The first drama that we staged, we wanted to emphasize on democracy, the role of citizenship, and the role of each and every citizen when it comes to development. And we want the people to know the importance of birth registration.
For the sustainability of the project, traditional communicators have been armed with songs on democracy and what society should do when faced with issues of inheritance and divorce. They are expected to spread the messages in religious and social functions. For GRTS News, I am Janke Ture.
A joint investigation by the police and the National Food Safety and Quality Authority has confirmed that there is no plastic rice in our markets. The investigation follows last week's social media reports of the presence of plastic rice in the Gambia. Famarakani has more in this report. Sensitize journalists on the Consumer Protection Act. Kumbaba has more.
As disseminators of information to the wider society, journalists have been enlightened on the Gambia Consumer Protection Act 2007, 2014 and 2015. The goal is to protect consumers from unfair and misleading market conduct.
Under the Competition Act 2007, our mandate is to promote competition in all sectors of the economy by prohibiting coercive agreements and bid rigging, investigating and controlling other terms of restrictive agreements, monopoly and merger situations. Under the Consumer Protection Act, our mandate is to protect consumers from unfair and misleading market conduct. We are responsible for the establishment of the Consumer Tribunal, which is just mentioned, and to deal with consumer complaints and connected matters.
The day-long forum gathered participants from both the public and private media.
What do you think is needed to make the market more vibrant and competitive to attract investors?
Now with our Essential Commodities Act, which came in end of 2015, we are asking the businesses that are licensed for essential commodities to register all their warehouses. Everywhere you store your good has to be registered with the commission. So that way it's very easy if there is a scarcity for us to go and track. Because if you find that you are storing outside those premises that you registered, your license to operate in essential commodities can be revoked.
Emil Toure is the president, Gambia Press Union. He believes a platform like this will put Gambian journalists on a strong stand when dealing with issues of competition and the regulation governing it.
It is up and timely that the Gambia Competition Commission is holding this event with a view to training journalists to understand the instruments that regulate competition and consumer issues.
For the participants, this training will prove vital in their work.
I personally, I didn't know the difference between the consumer right and the producer's right. With the information that I gathered here, I am going out to my medium in order to tell the people, the masses, about what is their rights and what is not their rights when it's come to the preamble that they talked about their regulations and the rules that they normally do in order to investigate about the different business that they normally conduct.
I learned a lot about this training, and I'm ready to go back to my own media house and sensitize people what I learned here.
And since the Consumer Protection Act 2007, 2014 and 2015 is enacted to protect consumers, it is important that journalists themselves receive training for them to be able to report on issues pertaining to competition and consumer rights. Reporting for GRT's News, I am Kumbaba.
Students of the Management Development Institute Thursday elected new executive members to steer the affairs of the student body. Fatu Janimbai has more in this report.
I, Abdullah Iba, being the returning officer for the MDI Student Union elections, 4th May 2017, hereby declaring the total number of votes given to each candidate. The results are as follows. For the presidential candidates, we have Landing Sonko with 14 votes, which makes it 5.3% of the total votes. Modu Jallo with 41 votes, which makes it 15.5% of the total votes. We have Mohammed Jammeh, 210 votes, which makes it 79.2% of the total votes.
After a tight contest for the position of student president at the Management Development Institute, MDI, Mohammed Jammeh emerged the winner, beating two fellow contestants.
I'm so grateful to all the students who come out, to vote and to elect me as their president. They believe in me in so much that they give me their votes, which I won around 70%.
Aissatou Sow has been elected as the Minister of Finance.
I'll start by thanking my parents first for allowing me to do this, and the next thing is I'm going to thank the students for voting, and they really did a lot. I can just thank them enough, and I might not talk much, simply because of the joy I'm feeling in me, because it wasn't only me vying for the position, but why me choosing? Simply because of the trust they had in me.
MDI student union leaders commended their fellow students for having the trust in them and giving them the opportunity to serve them.
My immediate plan can be to raise funds for the student union, and I'll start by telling all the students to start contributing and participating in the student union, as we all work as one. We just the body. We're just the executive, and we're working for the students' body, and we will make sure that everything goes intact, and the financial, as I said, transparency and accountability, I'll still work on it.
My main priority is to organize a students' bantaba, where all the students will come on board and whisper the wise thoughts, and I will not do anything or make any decisions without these gallant students of MDI. They really make me proud.
Now that the students have elected their leaders, they are hopeful that the new executive will work closely with the management in meeting their needs. This is the 4th convention organized by the students of MDI, which also conducts management training for corporate bodies and institutions, consultancy and research. Reporting for GRT's News, I am Fatu Janimbai.
And now back to our earlier mentioned story. A joint investigation by the police and the National Food Safety and Quality Authority has confirmed that there is no plastic rice in our markets. The investigation follows last week's social media reports of the presence of plastic rice in the Gambia. Famarakanyi has more in this report.
In plastic rice, GRTS cannot verify whether the video is authentic or fake. However, it certainly worries many countries, including the Gambia, a country whose staple food is rice. The rumor of a brand of invented plastic rice in the country
is a cause for concern for consumers, traders, the police and the National Food Safety and Quality Authority. Ibrahima Jallo is a rice retailer at Latrikunda Market, one of the busiest markets in the Kanifing municipality. Mr. Jallo told GRTS that since the rumor surfaced, his business has slowed down significantly.
Since the rumor started, it has caused a lot of damage on rice business. People are not buying our rice.
Omar Barrow, another rice dealer in the same market, made a similar complaint. However, Mr. Barrow believes the plastic rice rumor is just another social media prank, but some people are taking precautions just in case. Bintu Jeti and her family use rice daily, but now it seems they have to go for a second choice.
I saw the video on WhatsApp, even though I have not seen the rice in the market, but I'm really worried because my family and I heavily depend on rice.
The police public relations officer, however, noted that investigations so far ruled out the presence of plastic rice in the country.
Right now, as I'm speaking to you, there is no plastic rice in Gambia. Gambians, there is no plastic rice here. Nobody has ever imported plastic rice in the Gambia as far as the Gambia Police Force investigation is concerned.
The police are working with the National Food Safety and Quality Authority to ensure that our entry points, especially the air and sea ports, are properly monitored to prevent the entry of the said rice into the Gambia.
A few months ago, it started in Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica, Indonesia, and none of these countries, as of now, till to date, none of these countries can establish that they have a single bag of plastic rice in their country. So I'm urging the public to remain calm. We can do this together. We are ensuring that the food that is in our market is wholesome and safe. So the inspectors are on the ground. Whatever food is coming into the country is monitored. So it's of sound and safe quality. They come with documentations, and we have proof of those documentations. So this rice that are in the country, we have not seen a single rice that is saying otherwise.
Though many people would continue to be worried about the alleged presence of plastic rice in our markets, the police and the Food Safety Authority have confirmed that not a single grain of plastic rice has been seen in the Gambia. All are advised to be vigilant and report anything suspicious to the authorities. Reporting for GRTS News.
Welcome back. On Saturday, I will fly to the moon and back. These are the words of Olympic marathon champion Eliud Kipchoge. The Kenyan runner is part of NIC's experiment to bridge the 2-hour barrier in the 42-kilometer marathon race. We have details in this report by CGTN.
The 2.4 Formula One racetrack, popularly known as Temple of Speed, will be the venue for the one-of-a-kind experiment on Saturday, breaking the 2-hour marathon barrier. At the heart of this attempt are 3 of Africa's top long-distance runners. Eritrea's Zassinate Dese is a half-marathon world record holder with the slowest full marathon time of the 3. Former Boston Marathon champion Lelisa Disesa of Ethiopia is the youngest and a sub-2-hour 5-minute marathoner. Olympic champion Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge is being tagged as a favorite in an attempt scientists have called impossible.
I don't believe in limits, that's why I want to run under 2 hours to prove that all the humans can go beyond their limits. And this one will not be only in sports, but it will be into all various professions.
Eliud is already being listed among the world's greatest marathoners just 4 years since making the transition from track to road. Running a sub-2-hour marathon time would stamp his stature in this endurance race.
My mind is actually thinking that on Saturday I will just fly to the moon and come back with her. No, we normally don't run with our legs, but we run with our hearts and mind. So my heart and my mind is totally on making history.
The current world record stands at 2 hours, 2 minutes and 57 seconds, held by Kenya's Dennis Kimeto. The race organizers have set up what they consider ideal technological and environmental conditions in their quest to create history, including a special shoe. 35-year-old Kipchoge isn't focused on the elements, saying it's all in the preparations.
I've been putting my time in training, putting my time in more in relaxing, putting my time in thinking more positive than any other days.
It remains to be seen if athletics world governing body IAAF will ratify the time if a new record is set. What this attempt will do, however, is ignite debate on just how fast man can run under the right conditions. Celestine Carone, CG.
Time for a second break now. The news continues in just a moment. Stay tuned.
The first edition of the International Agriculture Investment Forum, organized by Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency, in collaboration with the GCAF project, will be held on the 9th and 10th May 2017 at Senegambia Beach Hotel. The investment forum is geared towards creating a platform for investors, domestic and international, to network and explore areas of collaboration and potential investment in the Gambia's agricultural sector. This forum is open to domestic and international institutional investors, fund managers, investment banks, asset and wealth managers, rates agribusiness-related firms, farm owners and operators, agriculture tech companies, and any person or institution interested in investing in the Gambia. For further information on registration, contact info@gaipa.gm or call 796-115 or 998-6445.
Welcome back. 3 former South African presidents have launched a dialogue platform in Johannesburg to discuss the crisis facing the country. The forum aims to engage South Africans about issues that are key to nation building. CGTN's Jolis and Jamina with that story.
It's an unprecedented step for South Africa, a National Foundation's dialogue initiative established by 8 of the country's top citizens. Former Presidents Thabo Mbeki, Kgalema Motlanthe and FW de Klerk, as well as former Deputy President Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka, kick-started the conversation.
The timing could also not be more appropriate. South Africa is in the grip of the most serious challenges that have confronted it since the establishment of our non-racial constitutional democracy 23 years ago. Our economy is in a more parlous condition than at any time since 1994. We are experiencing an unprecedented constitutional crisis. We are also beset by serious social challenges.
Practically, it is impossible for anybody in our country publicly to argue against this reality of national sickness in our politics, in our economy, and in the context of our social and national cohesion.
This is the first of a series of dialogues to be held across the country. Organizers say a platform for national discussion will allow South Africans to not only engage with one another, but also with the government.
If we allowed this unwholesome character of politics to continue while we wallow in silence, history would never forgive our generation. We would have been complicit in an act of betrayal. We would have learned nothing from history.
The leaders have been quick to emphasize that the initiative is not an attack on President Zuma or to have him removed. Instead, it's an effort to revive South Africa's civic movement and the critical role it plays in getting the nation talking.
And to help create the possibility for the people to speak and to make proposals about what is to be done to extricate our country from its general and destructive crisis.
South Africans have been urged to use the platform to speak out and defend the Constitution.
The National Dialogue Initiative says the success of this national dialogue will be measured by the extent with which it is inclusive of all sectors of the South African society.
And to Somalia now, where the country has laid to rest its youngest minister, who was shot dead by government forces on Wednesday evening. His death has also seen the country's Auditor General sacked as investigations into the incident continue. CGTN's Abdulaziz Bilo has the latest from Mogadishu.
An emotional send-off for a man respected by many in the country. This is the final prayer for Abdullah Sheikh Abbas, Somalia's Public Works and Housing Minister, who was shot dead on Wednesday by security forces outside the country's presidential palace. Somali president led government officials in prayers after cutting short his state visit to neighboring Ethiopia. The death of the 31-year-old, who was also a first-time lawmaker, has created uncertainty among his fellow members of parliament who want an overhaul of the country's security sector.
Security forces must live up to the expectations of the people. The security situation remains fragile, and we expect government forces to do their work diligently. The people of Somalia want peace and stability, and we don't want to hear of any assassination or killing of civilians or government officials.
3 government soldiers have been arrested in connection to the killing of Somalia's youngest minister. And in an emergency cabinet session on Thursday, the government sacked its Auditor General to pave way for credible investigations.
After careful deliberations, the Somali Prime Minister, flanked by the Council of Ministers, sacked the Auditor General to pave way for credible investigations. The Council also heard from the security chiefs on better ways to enforce security in the capital and across the country.
But the Auditor General is fighting back, saying the Prime Minister has no power to sack him, adding that it's the country's parliament that only has the mandate. Parliament is currently in recess, and it's now uncertain how this case will unfold. The late minister, a former refugee from Dadaab in northern Kenya, was seen by many as a rising star after defeating a 3-time lawmaker in 2016 to becoming a member of parliament and also the youngest minister in the country's political history. Somalia's president has promised to enhance security measures across the country and has since created a plan to restructure the country's national army and the police force. Meanwhile, in the streets of the capital, drive-by shootings and targeted assassinations of key government officials has hindered the government's ability to deliver. Minister Abbas becomes the first member of parliament and first sitting minister to be killed since the election of President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo on February 8th. Abdul Aziz Bilon, CGTN, Mogadishu, Somalia.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. The Minister of Trade, Dr. Aissatou Toure, has visited the Independence Stadium to inspect the ongoing International Trade Fair. Police and food safety authorities have said there has not been any trace of plastic rice in the Gambian markets. 3 former South African presidents have launched an ambitious plan to discuss the current challenges facing the Rainbow Nation. And Somalia's Prime Minister has sacked the country's Auditor General following the killing of one of the ministers by the government security forces. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. We'll be back at 10 with another news bulletin. Meanwhile,